Morning. Now, for those of you that don't know or didn't know or are new here, I've been trying to change my life for the last couple of years. It's a lady walking her dog. We often say good morning. Her dog's got the same name as my dog's name, Tilly. Class. It always wags its tail at me. Anyway, so I thought I'd make this video to bring everybody up to speed. Now, I'm 53, and around the age of 50 or just before, I started thinking more about my health. You know, my sister died about 3 years ago. She was 53. She was overweight, but she'd been battling a cancer for a few years. She managed to get rid of it and endured a few years, but then it came back, and she was just as determined as ever, my Sharon. And yeah, anyway, she went into hospital and she got an infection, and they were trying to deal with the infection before they could do anything else, and they could not get on top of this infection. Anyway, she ended up, they wanted to try an operation because she was getting fluid building up on her lungs, and anyway, there was so much going off, and she wasn't strong enough for this operation. But eventually they tried it because there was no other choice, and she had a heart attack. But she survived. She survived, but it was only a couple of days, but eventually it was a case of there was not much more that could be done, sadly. And she made the decision on their advice to basically just stop all fluids, all water, and just have the painkillers and let things happen. Anyway, yeah, so that was that. Now, I'd already been starting to become conscious about my health. I had. And I knew I was drinking too much. I was drinking too much. I was drinking every single day. Only 2 or 3. But it wasn't doing me any good. And most nights, if I'd gone out somewhere, I'd message my wife and say, "Do you want anything from the shop?" Knowing full well what I meant. Some alcohol, some chocolate. And sometimes she'd say yeah, and sometimes she'd say no. And if she said no, guess what? I got annoying probably, but I found myself getting irritable because we weren't having a drink. So I'd drink lager, and I'd always get chocolate sweets and crisps. It's not good, but I'd always get some Southern Comfort. That was my biggest thing, Southern Comfort. And I was getting through a bottle a week. But I can remember one week I got through a bottle quicker, and because my wife had already made little comments about how much I'm drinking, I got another bottle, and this other bottle, I hid it. I took it into the summer house, and I left it in the summer house with a glass. And I'd make an excuse just to go into the summer house. She found it. She knew. And that's the best thing she could ever have done. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I started getting a pain in my foot. And I'd been working 7 days a week for a few weeks. My business was really busy at the time. And it wouldn't go away, and it was hard to carry on working. My mum says, maybe it's gout. I said, gout? I said, in that way, like, you can lose your legs and feet and hands and things. She says, yeah. And I thought, I'm not having that. If ever there was a sign, that's a sign. Anyway, I'm sorry this is a long video, but I've got a lot to say. So, I stopped. I said, look, I'm going to stop for 2 weeks and see how it goes. Give my body a rest, see if my foot improves. I did it. Couldn't believe it. I did it. And I shocked myself. But it was actually, the first 3 days was the hardest. And I've noticed this before in life. The first 3 days were the hardest. And it actually got easier after 3 days. Not like perfectly easy, but it got a lot easier. Yeah, the pain in my foot went away. So I don't know if it was the start of gout or something else. But anyway, I did it. And I felt so good after those 2 weeks. It was like, oh, how far can we take this? So I kept it going. And anyway, to cut a long story short, I kept it going and kept it going and kept it going. And we came to birthdays, Christmases, evenings out, weddings. And you know what? I wasn't bothered. Even the classic New Year's Eve, I did it with no booze. And I basically said, I don't need it. I just didn't need it. And to cut a long story short, best thing I ever did. Was it easy? No. Was there times when I thought, yeah, I could have a drink? Yeah. But I didn't. And you know what? For the last, I don't know, year, I've had zero desire to have any booze. And I really do think it's the best thing I've ever done. Now, a couple of years ago, I started thinking about hot tubs, cold plungers. It's funny, one of my customers, so I treat people's lawns. I've got a lawn care business. And I went into this guy's garden to treat his lawn. And he'll not mind me saying this. He was in his garden, sat in his dustbin with cold water and bags of ice, and he was filming himself, and it was on Instagram. He's on Instagram, Ross Ascend 360. If you want to look him up, Ross Ascend 360. He's on there. He's been doing it over 4 years now, every single day, never missed a day. Cold water. Anyway, I gave it a go, and it was unbelievable at first, hard. Even the kids' paddling pool, I couldn't sit down in it, but I did. I eventually laid down in it. And I persevered. And I managed 225 days straight. Which, you'll probably see on some of my older videos on Instagram. Some on there, but I started it on a different channel. But every day's on there, and there was days in winter when I was coming out, there was cold coming out my mouth. I'd got my beanie hat on, my coat, and I'd get to the water and just get in. But there was an inch of ice. So that's that. So it was about the 50s, when at the age 50, when I decided, look, I want to become healthier. But I stopped the cold plunge. I don't know why, I lost interest. Now, will I try again? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I would and maybe I won't. Maybe things will be different this time, I don't know. But that's what I did. Now, about 18 months ago, I thought, you know what, even though I like my job, what I do, I'm working around chemicals. And I don't want to be working around chemicals, breathing fertiliser in and stuff like that for the rest of my life. I want to enjoy old age. healthily if possible. Don't we all? Anyway, so I started walking 10,000 steps every day, and I've been doing that. I've lost track, but I bet it's coming up for 2 years. Now, the first year I never missed a single day, and on my YouTube channel I posted every single video, and I put a lot of them onto Instagram and TikTok. So that's what I did. That's what I did. Now, walking every day, giving up the booze as part of the equation, and that brings me to where we are now. Maybe the hardest battle I'll ever have to do, and that's the food. I'm doing exercise, I walk a lot. I've had spells and periods where I've eaten as healthily as I could, and it's worked well, and I've lost weight. But then I always seem to fall off. So I know that challenge will come and face me probably at around the 2-week mark. It's funny how it happens, it's about 2 weeks. And then I go off track, and then it takes ages to get back on. But this time, I've got to make it work. Now, a few days ago, I got so fed up of looking at myself in the mirror and how I look. And I just got so fed up, I said, right, this is it, I've had enough now. It's got to start now. And so I took my top off. And I filmed myself. And it was really embarrassing, really cringy. But I did it. And people actually resonated with that. And to every single person that's offered me support in comments, likes, feedback, messages, suggestions, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you. What I will say is that crows. I want to do it the natural way. Just eating good, clean, honest food, whole foods. Just clean, natural food as we, 50 years ago. Meat, veg, salad, fruits. Just honest. Cutting out the crap, the processed food, the junk. As much as humanly possible. The booze is gone. I don't really want to do any jabs, injections, anything like that. Because it's not natural. But, they do seem to work. And if I had to, then maybe. But it's not my preference. It's not really where I want to go or what I want to do. So for me, it's watching what I eat, tracking calories, and cutting out the crap and moving my body. But I realise that it's 80% diet, and I realise that now. So that's it. That brings you up to speed with where I am. In terms of me, I'm 53. I don't know, I've got about, I can't remember, maybe 50 pounds to lose, something like that. And I run a business which is busy, very hectic, and it takes a lot of my mental space. So you've got to be focused. Anyway, look, I'll leave it at this for now. I'm sorry it's gone on longer, but I've got it all out now. I've said everything. There's bound to be other little things I wanted to add in or say in, but you know what? If you've watched it to this point, thank you. But I've got it out there. It brings you up to speed, and this is me. Thanks for watching. Just a normal guy trying to change my life, and I'm sick of being how I am. It's time for change.